The sun bled over the jagged horizon of my Minecraft world, painting the blocky landscape in hues of orange and purple. Usually, this was a peaceful sight, a signal to retreat to my humble wooden cabin for the night. But usually was a distant memory. Ever since I had installed the bioshock mod, tranquility had become a luxury I could no longer afford. Before, my biggest worries were creepers and the occasional skeleton. Now, I had to contend with creepers that could teleport, zombies wielding rusty wrench-like plasmids, and spiders that shot webs of solidified electricity. The mod had brought the best, and worst, of Rapture into my blocky world. My character, Steve, shivered, despite the surprisingly effective Big Daddy diving suit I was wearing. The suit, cobbled together from scrap metal and scavenged parts, was a testament to my ingenuity, and frankly, my desperation. It offered decent protection against most threats, and the heavy boots mitigated the incessant knockback from powered-up mobs. I clutched the electro-bolt plasmid injector in my gloved hand. Its cool metal was a comfort. Electricity, even in this chaotic world, was reliable. I had learned to use it defensively, stunning enemies before they got too close. Beside the injector was an almost empty bottle of Devil's Kiss Vigor. Fire, like electricity, was a good tool, but harder to control. It was best saved for emergencies. My immediate goal was simple: find food. The powered-up mobs were aggressive and relentless, making hunting a dangerous game. I ventured out cautiously, my ears straining for any telltale sign of trouble. The metallic clang of my diving suit echoed around me, announcing my presence to anything lurking nearby. I decided to head towards the modified forest biome. The mod had added gatherer gardens, patches of land where vigor ingredients grew. These resources were vital, but the areas were always heavily contested by both hostile mobs and, occasionally, other players who hadn't lost their minds completely. As I approached the edge of the forest, I noticed something unusual. A flock of chickens, usually harmless, were huddled together, their eyes glowing with an unsettling blue light. They pecked at the ground obsessively, ignoring my presence. I raised the electro-bolt injector, cautiously approaching them. Then, one of the chickens squawked, a sound distorted and unnatural. The others followed suit, their collective screeching escalating into a cacophony. Suddenly, they launched themselves at me, their tiny beaks glowing with the same blue energy as their eyes. I reacted instinctively, firing a blast of electro-bolt. The electricity arced through the air, striking the chickens and sending them flying. Most were instantly vaporized, leaving only a faint smell of ozone and burnt feathers. But a few remained, their blue eyes burning brighter than ever. They were faster, stronger, imbued with some kind of telekinetic power. It was then I realized what had happened. They had found a puddle of telekinesis vigor and drank it. Cursing under my breath, I charged forward, swinging my diamond axe. The Big Daddy suit, while bulky, provided a surprising amount of mobility. I smashed the axe into the skull of one of the chickens, sending it tumbling. Another one tried to attack from behind, but I sidestepped and delivered a punishing kick with my heavy boot. The fight was frantic and chaotic. The chickens, even empowered, were still relatively weak, but their sheer numbers and unpredictable movements made them a difficult threat. I dodged a telekinetic blast that ripped a chunk out of a nearby tree, narrowly avoiding a direct hit. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the last of the deranged chickens lay twitching on the ground. I stood there, panting, the Big Daddy suit creaking with every breath. My health bar was dangerously low. I needed to heal, and fast. I rummaged through my inventory, pulling out a handful of golden carrots. They were a lifesaver, providing a much-needed boost to my health and saturation. As I chewed on the carrots, I scanned the surrounding area, alert for any further threats. The forest was eerily silent. The only sound was the faint buzzing of insects and the rustling of leaves in the wind. I decided to press on, hoping to find some gatherer gardens before nightfall. I navigated the dense undergrowth, my senses on high alert. The bioshock mod had not only introduced new powers and enemies, but had also altered the environment in subtle but significant ways. The trees were thicker, the shadows deeper, the air heavier with a sense of unease. After what seemed like hours, I stumbled upon a small clearing. In the center, bathed in the dappled sunlight, was a gatherer's garden. Colorful plants, unlike anything I had ever seen in vanilla Minecraft, sprouted from the fertile soil. My heart leapt with joy. Salvation was within reach. But as I approached the garden, I heard a low growl coming from the shadows. My joy turned into dread. A pack of wolves emerged from the trees, their eyes glowing with a sickly green light. These weren't ordinary wolves. They were imbued with the powers of insect swarm, a vigor that allowed them to summon swarms of deadly bees. I knew I was in trouble. Insect swarm was one of the most annoying powers in the game. The bees were difficult to see, and their stings inflicted a potent poison. Fighting them head-on was suicide. I considered my options. I could try to run, but the wolves were faster than me. I could try to fight, but the bees would drain my health in seconds. Then, I remembered the almost empty bottle of Devil's Kiss Vigor in my inventory. It was a long shot, but it was my only chance. I quickly uncorked the bottle and gulped down the last remaining drops of the fiery liquid. The vigor burned its way down my throat, leaving a trail of fire in its wake. I coughed, sputtering, as the Devil's Kiss took effect. My hands ignited in flames, and a wave of heat washed over me. I could feel the power coursing through my veins, burning away the fear and doubt. With a roar, I charged towards the wolves, my flaming hands outstretched. The wolves snarled and lunged, summoning swarms of bees that buzzed around my head. I unleashed a torrent of flames, incinerating the bees and setting the wolves ablaze. The fire spread quickly, turning the clearing into an inferno. The wolves howled in pain as they burned, their green eyes flickering and dying. The heat was intense, almost unbearable. The Big Daddy suit was designed to withstand extreme temperatures, but I could feel the metal starting to buckle under the strain. My health was rapidly depleting. I knew I couldn't stay there for long. I grabbed a handful of vigor ingredients from the gatherer's garden, stuffing them into my inventory. Then, I turned and fled, leaving the burning clearing behind me. I ran until my lungs burned and my legs ached. Finally, I collapsed in a small cave, hidden behind a waterfall. I was exhausted, wounded, and shaken, but I was alive. I spent the night in the cave tending to my wounds and replenishing my supplies. I crafted more plasmids and vigors, preparing for whatever the next day might bring. As the sun rose, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, I emerged from the cave, ready to face the challenges that awaited me. The world was still dangerous, still chaotic, but I was still alive. I had learned to adapt, to survive, to thrive in this strange new world. I was a survivor, a warrior, a big daddy in a blocky bioshock nightmare. And I wouldn't give up, not until I had explored every corner of this world, uncovered every secret, and vanquished every monster that stood in my way. My journey had just begun. The fight for survival was far from over.